You're like the only person in the world that's gotten to play Ninja Gaiden 2 yet.
So far.
So far.
Yeah.
You know, the combat definitely looks like an evolved version of what we saw in the first game, with the violence amped up to like 13.
Yeah.
And that looks like a good thing. And the enemies look like things that would have been bosses in the last game, or maybe sub-bosses, or at least like tougher enemies.
Are like the average dude now.
Yeah, and that's fucking badass.
Yeah.
I have to say that part of the reason that I love the original Ninja Gaiden, the reason that it's like one of my top 10 favorite games, is that not only is the combat as good as it is, but you know, I really did like the fact that it was a giant open world. It kind of straddled this like action RPG line in a way that to me made it better than the sum of its parts.
What they're doing is that they're reducing the amount of backtracking that you had to do, and like, you know, a lot of times if you put Ninja Gaiden down, if you didn't play it straight through, you know, you would come back to it maybe after a few weeks and you'd be like, oh shit, where did I have to go now, right? They're trying to keep it so that if you actually take a break from the game, let's say another game comes out this week that you want to play, and you give NG2 a little bit of a rest, then when you come back, what you need to do is more apparent, but there will still be freedom. There will be things that you can go and do. There will be exploration. One stage had me running around something that was almost like the Guggenheim. It was like kind of this spiraling level where, you know, obviously I had to get into a lot of combat, tried to use all the old Ninja Gaiden tricks that you learned, but there's a lot of new stuff. In order to get to a boss that drops the key that lets you open up this huge dragon's mouth that you have to run into and then go to the next level, that kind of thing. So there is still a lot. It's not nearly as simplified as you'd think it is. It's just that they removed a lot of the extraneous bullshit.
Sounds like they're right on the right path with this then, and that's good. I mean, I guess the real question is then how does it feel? I mean, does it feel significantly better? Does the combat feel better than Ninja Gaiden 1?
What's funny about the new combat is that it seems like it's just this gratuitous violence, you know, where you're cutting people's heads off, you're cutting people's arms off. There are actually game mechanics attached to each one of these things. So like as Itagaki said, you know, the characters that realize that they're not going home that night, you know, they're like, well, screw this, you know, so they'll pull out a grenade and they'll like try and clamp on your leg or something and basically suicide bomb you. So like everything has repercussions. So you think like, okay, I've chopped this guy's legs off, but he's still gonna crawl after you, and this time with an aim to take you out with him, you know. And even guys who've had their heads chopped off, you know, they may have pulled a grenade out at the last minute, and if you're too close to them, you'll get the damage from.
So that builds into the obliteration techniques as well, right? Because based on which limbs are cut off, you're gonna do a different obliteration move, which is just a kind of gratuitous finisher, right? Like a fatality or something.
Yeah, you know, it's basically like, okay, when you're near somebody who's been dismembered somehow, you press Y, and like, if you time it right, he'll do an obliteration technique. But it depends on like what angle you're standing at him from, if you're from in front or if you're in behind him, or if you chopped off one of his legs, both of his legs, his head, his arm, you know, whatever you've actually cut off of the person will indicate which obliteration technique move you will do. And as you get better at the game, you'll probably know which one will come out.
Do you think that it's gonna get old seeing the same animation over and over again, or are they gonna try to pop it full of so much stuff that you won't notice?
I don't think it's gonna be like a Manhunt kind of thing where it's slow, boring, oh, I'm gonna pull his head back, slit his throat thing. It's very fast, very violent, and you're just like, wow, the whole time.
You know, they did release HD footage of the Aqua Capital stage or whatever, and when I saw it at first, and I think a lot of people who have seen it, because this is the only way they've seen it, they thought it did look quite a bit like Sigma, or you know, in terms of the graphics.
Yeah.
But when Team Ninja did play that section in front of us live on a real TV screen, there's more to the lighting than you'd expect there to be, and it really does pop a bit more than you'd think it would. The amount of blood, limbs, and shit that's flying around, combined with the fact that you're moving so swiftly, like it's really impressive.
Those other 3 levels that I played, right? There's There was a Ninja Village level that really kind of reminded me of the first stage of Ninja Gaiden 1.
Yeah.
But it does look so much better. There are so many things going on. Environments are huge. They're really, really, really detailed. And the level that really had the biggest impact on me was the New York level, because, you know,
You're from New York.
I'm from New York, so I can tell like how detailed that is, and like there's all this neon going on. You know, they do this torrential downpour thing, which is just unbelievable, and it's so high res. It's almost like you can see every drop landing. It's nuts, and you're fighting huge fiends in this level. These huge purple things that are just like, you know, ordinarily like in another game they would be a boss, but this is just like, you know, you're fighting like 8 of them.
What sounds really exciting is that in your article it says that the final boss of the game is going to be a badass ninja.
Yeah, they said that the new super evil boss, I guess he's from the Black Spider clan, ninja clan. He may be like Mariah or something like that, but he will be, you know, kind of like a human scale. That's not to say that, and I have no idea honestly, but that's not to say that he can't do like one of those Final Fantasy type transformations where he turns into like a gigantic scorpion or something like that. What we do know is that he will be, you know, like Ryu, he'll be another ninja, a super ninja like that. If you take the Hurricane Pack stuff from Ninja Gaiden Black, Ninja Gaiden Sigma, where you're playing as Ryu Hayabusa and you're fighting the Ryu in the black dragon suit.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's what the boss from Ninja Gaiden 2 is going to be like, just on like a much more intense scale. I don't know if you're going to meet him in, you know,
various encounters,
various points throughout the game. You may still fight the giant boss. Those may be his subordinates at like level 9 or whatever. You know, all of a sudden you got to fight this guy who's like 3 stories tall. I'm sure they're going to do some really
giant bosses. Yeah, definitely, because the last game had that, and people expect that.